Wait.
You ain't got no secret identity. Welcome to the Into the Night podcast, episode 102. Today we're going to be discussing Beetlemeyer, a.k.a. Beetlegeist, a.k.a. Beetlejuice.
The bio what? The bio exorcist.
Exactly. And I am DJ Tribic, a.k.a. Villain, a.k.a. Otho. And with me, as always, is Mr. Jim Bob, a.k.a. Mr. Beetlemeyer, a.k.a. MC PBK.
The goddamn phone book killer. My people. Where you at?
Shout out to the professor.
Yeah, the professor.
So, yeah, Beetlemeyer, a.k.a. Beetlejuice, is a 1980s joint from Tim Burton.
It's a 1988.
88,
I
late
believe
80s.
the studio was New Line or... No, Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Warner
And it was Tim Burton's second official foray into big budget Hollywood. His first being Pee-wee's Big Adventure in '85. Shout out to Cassandra Peterson from The Groundlings, which was a comedy troupe that starred Paul Rubens. aka
Right,
Pee-wee.
yeah.
Yeah. And by this time, Beetlejuice came out, Pee-wee's Playhouse on CBS was already broadcast on network television. So, what can I say about it before you get into the nitty gritty of it, Al Rocksky? Definitely, I think all of us in this room watched it as children, thinking
Yes.
it was a for kids by kids movie.
It definitely
And
comes
adults,
off
it's not.
as a very family-friendly movie.
Yeah, the trailers.
But as somebody born and raised in the late 80s, early 90s, the culture was different back then. Watching a movie like this today might get CPS called on you.
Child Protective Services.
But, I mean, if I had kids, I'd show this to them at an appropriate age.
Right.
But, you know, this is also, we're talking about the nuclear family of, 2.5, 3 kids and mom and dad. One of them working, the other one staying at home. It was a lot easier to have something like this and digest it on a family episode.
Very prudent to say that if our parents by a certain metric being born in the like after World War II, obviously baby boomers, so like late 40s, 50s, and maybe kind of riding the cusp, maybe like 60 to like 62. Our parents growing up and their parents growing up in that Nixonian, like, let's fear communism, let's fear the East, let's fear similarly like the climate that we're in now. These types of films, along with all the slashers that we all grew up with, anyone born, like I said, late 70s up to late 80s, yeah, I think it's by proxy, like guys like us, we are those kind of like latchkey kids.
Yes.
Where
You grow up quick, and
well, like the bullshit of marriage, like we're the first generation where there's probably more kids born into single family households, and and we're worse off, and subsequently my kids will be maybe I hope not, but worse off than even our generation now because of loss of opportunities and whatnot. But going back, not to veer off track, but all this fantasy stuff that we're into, I speak, for myself. This is a great way to escape.
Oh yeah,
like having an asshole brother. I know that's
for sure.
I
mean, Tim Burton. Theme. I think Tim Burton also
fantastical.
He does more now, kind of caters to the subculture, like the goth crowd, the more darker people. But back then,
I don't think that was until after
Tim Burton,
like Batman Returns.
Yeah,
maybe.
until then, back then, Tim Burton was kind of trying to kind of get everybody around the TV together as a family in like a very quirky, weird sense,
and make it escape.
Exactly. And Michael Keaton, shout out to him, basically carrying this movie. Not like everybody else didn't do a good job, but his performance in this movie is what sold it. He's completely wacky and zany and over the top. There's like, you know, shout outs to like old school, like vaudeville, like, you know, toilet humor.
No, a lot of like 50s and 1920s, like big band stuff.
Exactly.
With the bordello.
Yes.
Adam, you didn't. I didn't put that there. I swear.
Arguably one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
When he goes this, yeah, yeah,
exactly.
Come to Papa, yeah.
Need a little action.
I like it when he does that. Hey, how are you? Beetle. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I think it's so funny how he went from this, and in probably less than a year, he donned
to one of the most iconic.
Donned the cape as Batman.
Beyond, totally less than a year. Probably when that movie like wrapped, they were probably
like,
greenlit
on to the next one
to produce it already.
Yeah,
it's 88. Batman's 89.
Yeah, correct.
So
yeah,
that'd be interesting to research at a later date in time. And as a fan, like, you know that there are certain films that are like proving grounds for certain directors that studios are like, all right, this guy
can do it. Yeah,
let's give him this. Yeah,
I think this was probably Tim Burton's official. Okay, this guy can
breakout
fill the seats.
thing. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if as early as like the early 80s, the idea of a Batman movie in tandem with Superman, which is an early 80s franchise, was like resting in development hell. Probably since like 1978 or something.
Oh, yeah,
like
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Especially once Christopher Reeve showed that the Superman movie can work.
Yeah.
They're like, how can we do the rest with all this other shit? And Batman was that's the first official comic book hero blockbuster. I'm sure Superman did well, but Batman was a phenomenon. In 1989, 1990, you couldn't get away from Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. And by that extension, Tim Burton.
My audio, I think. I can't hear myself now.
Why not? I can hear you perfectly. What'd you do? What'd you touch?
I think I BODIZIED'd it.
You what? Oh, God.
BOD.
You Bodoized it, dude? Shout out to Dare Fan. Yeah.
Just pause.
Fucking idiot.
Just doing my job.
Oh, worse.
Let me see. Well, you pulled out your headphones?
Oh, there you go.
Are you better?
Yeah, I didn't do shit.
Did we fix it?
Yeah.
I fixed everything.
Hey, fun fact. Second to Superman, yet third, or rather, second to Superman, predating Batman, is my audio went out again. There you go.
What did you do?
It's the jack is like loose. Yeah.
Which one are you? Is this you?
Yeah.
Yes. No. Is that you?
That's me. Woo!
Are you better? Can you hear?
Yeah.
All right. Take two. Yeah. Anyway, we're I can just edit.
We can just edit that.
So yeah, we were talking about Tim Burton.
Swamp Thing, by our boy, in the same wheelhouse, directed by Wes Craven.
I did not know that.
That's 1981 with Adrian Barboobs. Shout out to The Fog, ex-girlfriend or ex-wife of our other boy, John Carpenter. Shout out to Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah. Well, let's just get right into it here. We're old Beetlejuice.
Twice, third time's a charm. And remember, I'll eat anything you want me to eat. I'll swallow anything you want me to swallow. Come on down now. Chew on the dog. Oh.
Yeah, thank you, Beetlemeyer. So let's just get right into it, Bri. Spoilers and all. Spoiler territory.
Spoiler alert.
So the movie opens up in somewhere in probably
rural Maine.
Rural Maine, yeah. Somewhere in New England.
Oh no, Connecticut.
Yeah, that's right. He says it says Connecticut.
They're coming down from Manhattan.
And we have excuse me. The what is Geena Davis and Alec Baldwin's names.
They
their
are
first names.
Alec Baldwin and Geena Davis are the loving couple called Adam and Barbara Maitland.
Adam and Barbara Maitland, that's right.
Cute couple, pretty stupid too.
Yeah, they look pretty stupid. Yeah. So the Maitlands live in Connecticut. I don't know if they're raised there or
idyllic.
if they moved there. It doesn't matter. They're very
American Gothic. I think that's what he was going for as well.
He works at a hardware. He owns the hardware store.
The hardware store
next door to the barbershop.
He says, "Just trim it a little."
That's my favorite character in the whole movie, the barber. And Barbara is a stay-at-home mom. Well, she's not even a mom. She's just stay-at-home, probably working. I think they're working towards having a child or getting ready to or something of that ilk.
That's very deep down the rabbit hole, for sure.
And they're about to go on vacation.
Yeah.
And it gets cut very short.
Were they?
Yeah. I think
to where?
He's got the store locked.
Right.
And I believe they're going to go on a vacation. I could be wrong, but I know that they're leaving the house because they're talking about locking the house up and stuff like that.
Okay.
And as they're driving, they get screwed over by
a pooch.
By a
Literally,
pooch.
screw the pooch.
They swerve to avoid killing the dog, chew on a dog, and they tumble to their doom on that bridge, presumably
the
drowning.
Winters River Bridge.
They're presumably drowned to their doom.
Yeah.
And they come back to their house unknowingly, having no idea how they got there, and it appears they're dead. They're dead.
Well, as the audience, it takes us a while to find that out.
But
they come back dripping wet, so you think they're still alive.
You'd think they're alive, but then, her
like
fingers
a good 15 minutes or something.
Catch fire, which is a cool little in-camera
No reflection
effect.
in the mirror.
No reflection in the mirror. Yeah. They don't remember getting home. And then
the book.
Yeah, the book appeared.
Handbook. Disease.
The thing reads like stereo instructions.
Why do you say it like that? Diseased. I think it says
deceased.
Photo-wise.
Oh, yeah, that's so fun. But, so from there, we were introduced to a couple, rules of the movie. Yeah. One being they can't leave the house. They're stuck there, presumably for eternity.
For eternity, right.
They cannot be seen or heard by any living being, at least that they know of at this point.
That doesn't believe, basically.
And the other rule being that the handbook is basically their guide. It tells them everything they need to do.
How to navigate.
They need to read it.
Yeah.
And there's draw the door.
Knock 3 times.
Knock 3 times. They, don't let any humans read the book. This, just weird things that happen in there.
Step for the dead.
The cool thing about this movie, I feel like the Maitlands are like us. If you were freshly dead, the Maitlands are you.
Right, yeah, good observation.
Going through the underworld and realizing how all this stuff works. Yeah. And
shout out to Saturn.
I believe the Dietzes enter the fold pretty quickly, don't they? We kind of have a flash forward without knowing it.
Well, if you indulge me, if you remember the hyper annoying realtor lady.
Yes.
It's this house is a big house.
Yeah.
It should be for a family. They are seen peering, Adam and Barbara are seen peering outside of the window.
Right.
Looking at what appears to be that lady and her daughter dressed in all black, having recently attended their funeral.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think it's a year.
It's not a very long time. Because those people move in.
And then it's 5.
Lock, stock, and barrel. And
I think it's 5 or 3 months when they totally make it New York Art Deco noir with all her
so the Dietzes.
Yeah.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but the Dietzes played by we got Winona
Jeffrey
Ryder.
Jones.
Jeffrey Jones.
Was the dad. What's his name? Charles.
Yeah,
Dietz.
Charles Dietz.
Delia, played by Home Alone mom. What's her name?
I can't remember her name.
Catherine
O'Hara.
Catherine
Thank you. Yeah. And then Winona Ryder as Lydia.
Lydia Dietz.
The
Delia
other lead.
And Lydia.
The other lead. I mean, this is Winona Ryder, Alec Baldwin, Geena Davis, and Michael Keaton. And
it's important to say that Delia is her stepmom.
Yes, she is not her biological mother. She is her stepmom.
This is why she refers to her as Delia.
And this is also Charles also refers to your mother. He calls her, and it's obviously kind of ribbing at her and gets on her nerves. Charles. But so basically, the whole setup for this movie is you have two people who are very kind and nice, loving little dead people who want to live on their own in their house.
Like I said, very American Gothic.
And these very kind of pretentious, art-loving, snobby people move into their house. How do I get rid of them?
Well, not all of them. Charles, we can see.
Yeah, but he's still
wants the rustic.
He's kind of a nouveau riche, kind of uppity, yuppie kind of dude.
New money.
And this is late '80s.
80s
so
cocaine money.
We're making fun of the yuppies in this one.
For sure.
Yeah, and he the whole Maxie Dean angle and Dick Cavett. Yeah, they're all just like a bunch of real estate mogul. Weekend at Bernie's.
And who's the interior designer?
Southampton.
Lest we forget.
Oh yeah, Otho.
The Wedding Clothes. Do you know the actor's name?
It's
looked him
something
up the other
weird.
day.
It's a weird name.
And he's still alive, you said?
No, he's dead. He passed away, unfortunately.
Openly gay, right?
I believe so, yeah. And he's
from the South.
From the South. He's from Louisiana, yeah.
Don't mind her. She's still upset because somebody dropped a house on her sister.
Otho! Shout out to Otho. Rest in peace.
Why does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Blue-green.
Chromic oxide.
So, yeah, that's the setup for our movie, and this is where Michael Keaton comes in. Well, no, first we have Juno, right? Juno,
well, yeah,
our
so
caseworker.
Yeah. So what they do is they draw the wall.
They draw the door.
They draw the door on the brick door,
and
then
we get our first look in the underworld.
The netherworld.
Because let's call it the underworld. It's not heaven and it's not hell.
Okay, yeah.
And this is another thing I love about it is because there's so much like, puritanical Christianity all over. The afterlife in a lot of movies.
And this is very like bureaucratic. Like it's like being at the DMV.
This movie is basically like showing the afterlife is not that different from regular life.
Yeah.
You gotta
long lines,
paperwork, bureaucratical
bullshit.
nonsense. Yeah. A lot of you're dead now. You got to own this shit and take care of it just like it was your life.
Right.
And so Juno comes in to basically tell them,
caseworker.
you want to exorcise these people, which is such a funny thing, like the reverse exorcism, right? Like the ghost getting rid of the human.
Yeah.
That they have to do it themselves by, trying to be scary.
Mm-hmm.
And the first attempt where they pretty much meet Lydia is they try to
the closet.
They cut the holes in the sheets and
you're right.
the Prince Valium line, which is my favorite thing.
Prince Valium tonight,
yeah, she's sleeping with Prince Valium.
And she's
tonight.
watching like Lucha Libre.
Yeah, she's watching Mexican wrestling on TV.
Yeah.
I don't know if they get
Dead
that in Connecticut in the 80s,
yeah,
but it's cool to see that.
It was a cable thing for sure.
And so is it? Does Lydia sees them because she read out of the book, or is it because she says weird and strange?
She's strange and unusual.
Strange and unusual. Yeah. Has she maybe seen death before, and is that maybe like one of those things like where it's like you have to? Or I'm probably thinking.
You're gonna hear
else.
me, guys, on the show say this quite a bit. So if you'll indulge me, I think Tim Burton, because not only is he the director, he wrote this film as well. I think it was like you're onto something, like a jab at the very like Tom Cruise in Risky Business, like Charlie Sheen and like Oliver Stone's Wall Street, like this thing about where there's no nobility and poverty anymore, and it's basically kind of like how we're living now, like fuck the future, like fuck everyone else, I'm getting paid, screw everyone else, it's kill or be killed, dog eat dog. And in this case, these people coming from Manhattan, Delia kind of being Catherine O'Hara's character being the engine that what would you say, like pushes that personal velocity as far as climbing the social ladder.
Right.
They're too busy being bougie, rich, and like up everyone else's like ass, to even notice something as blatant as phantasms and apparitions.
Okay, I know exactly where you're going with it. Yeah, it's almost like we're so self-involved we couldn't even see
self-indulgent. Yeah,
we couldn't even see the dead people around us trying to get our attention.
And I think for '88 pre-internet, that's who the hell knows? Maybe he was like in his 20s when he wrote this film, but it's pretty fucking smart.
But it's Lydia Dietz. With that being said, she's very much. She is kind of the lead opposite Michael Keaton. At the point when she kind of enters the whole story, it kind of shifts from the Maitlands over to her a little bit.
She's the vehicle basically by which the action and the plot line is carried.
There's four main characters in the beginning. It's the Maitlands.
The Maitlands become tertiary,
and then halfway point it's more about Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton.
I think also the way Lydia's character was written was to be like more empathetic, what they call not EMP, what is it, it's electromagnetic pulse, an
ESP,
so like an empath, but like an empath with being attuned to that, because she is the opposite of these catching up with the Joneses people. Shout out to Jeffrey. We come for your daughter, Chuck. So she sees things that everyone else that's too busy climbing the corporate cocaine ladder can't.
Right.
And this is how she befriends, discovers, and more importantly, isn't scared of the Maitlands. And this is where the friendship is birthed, is born.
Right. And
they're just trying to navigate being dead.
They're kind of like surrogate parents to her.
Yeah,
that actually care.
Yeah,
you know, they were good people that could have been good parents, and instead they got shafted.
They could have been like her parents in real life,
exactly,
or step parents or something. Yeah.
What is that noise?
I thought it was from the soundboard.
It's our neighbors upstairs.
Smoking dust.
Shout out to my neighbors smoking dust upstairs.
And playing World of Warcraft.
Somebody come sponsor us so we can get a studio space.
So we get egg cartons.
Yeah.
All I heard was like, whoa. I thought it was Guillermo del Toro and Mimic. What are they called? The Judas Priest.
I don't remember.
Shout out to the Judas
Priest. They're definitely something.
Even Vincenzo is happy about the Judas Priest.
I don't know.
So, flash forward, we, not a surprise, the Maitlands being benevolent apparitions, not malevolent, decide basically to say, you know what? Fuck it. We'll live in... they break the news to Lydia, and they're like, I think after a few failed attempts, right? So Barbara rips her face off in the closet when she's hanging.
Yeah.
When Bodo, aka
she cuts Adam's head
off, and they just knock him all over.
They're not paying attention whatsoever.
Yeah. And they just basically say, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them.
Right.
And they decide to tell Lydia that...
Go on, Barbara. Say it.
Yeah. That they're going to live with them. And so...
Well, before they decide that, though... You're jumping extremely far ahead. Let's rewind a little bit. They decide to try and exorcise the family with the help of Beetlejuice, who they see on the TV in the model. Isn't it the model?
With
the model town that he has.
Adam makes a model of the town, and the town is also called. I think it's called Maitland.
I can't remember.
It's something.
It's mentioned like once.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter. Anyway, so Beetlejuice comes into the fold, and basically we learn he's what's called a bioexorcist.
Very cryptically, mind you.
Yeah.
We just see his hands, and he's looking at the newspaper, and he's in the grave.
We know nothing about his backstory, which is also great, except other than that monologue that he has that he attended Juilliard, he lived through the Black Plague, and he's seen The Exorcist over 100 times, and it keeps getting funnier every time I see it.
I think also, not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy, I think also it's indicative of that Kill to Be Killed, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, like Washington Post thing. Like, as you would be unemployed in the 80s with like the newspaper instead of like Indeed or Monster now. He's looking for work.
Obituaries.
Yeah, he's got the obituaries. He's like, let's see what we got here today. He's like, the Maitlands, cute couple. They're pretty stupid too. Yeah.
I'm just doing my job.
And he's in the grave, too.
Yeah.
He lives literally in the
grave,
dirt, in the grave.
Inside.
Like a sarcophagus.
Yeah. And so basically, so the Maitlands hire him to scare out the Dietzes. And this is all after like the whole the shrimp scene, which I feel like that was a lot funnier when I was a kid, and now as I get older, it was kind of silly. What's his name? Like Harry Belafonte or something?
That's right.
He's
Harry
all
Belafonte.
over the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I feel like Tim Burton was going through some weird, like,
50s
Islander
Calypso
50s Calypso phase. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the music.
I'm not a fan of it either. It works because it keeps it lighthearted.
Yeah.
But there could have been a better selection. But anyway, so
jazz or big band would have
Beetlejuice, we see that he's actually got the chops to be a bioexorcist. He actually legitimately can scare these people.
Beetlegeist.
But this Beetlemeyer fellow.
We just have to call this Beetlemeyer guy.
Yeah, and I love like the scene where they want to like turn the town, but initially like the house into like an attraction, like a fucking Kings Island or Six Flags kind of like
Great Adventure,
Great Adventure kind of paranormal place.
Well, in essence, with the shrimp thing, let's set this up. So Delia, what is it like? I'm having very important people come over, and I am not. Don't mess with me. I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
Delia also trying to climb up her corporate Novo socialite Manhattanite ladder.
Yeah, with Dick Cavett.
Dick Cavett, the Asian lady, which I think is like a jab at Yoko Ono.
It probably is.
John Lennon had just recently died.
There's definitely something there, like some quiet, brooding kind of
Asian,
shady-looking Asian lady. Yeah,
and then the other kind of like airhead blonde lady, which that scene when she's shaking.
We never see her again anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but Dick Cavett is kind of the precursor to Maxie Dean as that dude that she wants to impress.
Yeah.
If you insist on frightening people, do it with your sculpture.
He's so hardcore. I love it.
Look what he
You're
did.
you're a flake, Delia.
Yeah.
You always be a flake.
So they have a shrimp cocktail party.
Yeah.
And so
and we're jumping around here, but this is basically the middle chunk of the movie where Beetlejuice is becoming more and more involved.
Yeah.
And so
it's in essence it's Adam and Barbara's trick. It fails miserably.
It doesn't go the way they want.
And like you said,
to.
then they're like, let's turn this house into Disneyland.
Yeah.
And introduce us to your friends. And then Beetlemeyer he doesn't get called in, he jumps in.
Right, yeah. And then we also have the real life exorcist where Otho and
both.
Yeah, the wedding clothes.
The wedding clothes.
They decide to what I guess they think is summoning the ghosts to do their bidding, but really it's killing them and putting them into the what does he call it? It's Dead for the Dead.
The Kingdom of Lost
It's
Souls.
like the exorcised.
Yeah.
Souls who've been exorcised.
It's death for the dead.
And this is when kind of getting to the climax of the movie here, but Beetlejuice is when he basically takes center stage, and Lydia Dietz decides to call his name 3 times and get him into the fold to save them. But this is like a total back to...
You jumped to big thing, though. Why is it what's Beetlejuice and Lydia's connection?
Yeah, he wants to marry her so that he can basically... so he can basically... I would assume that means that brings him
back
out...
to life.
Yeah, or just
out of his
broken out of, the afterlife and the
where he doesn't have
chains that bind him there.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of his ultimate goal, and this is kind of his way of getting in. He's such a double cross. Like, I love that this movie, which is like PG-13, and it's a family movie, and the main character is like this treacherous, lecherous, disgusting person
beyond lecherous,
who is trying to basically
squeezing
people over.
Geena Davis all the whole time. Hey, Romana, squeezing her ass like, hey. He's like, what? He's got the stick looking up her skirt.
Yeah.
He's always goosing her. I will say also, I think what's cool is, even though he...
Well, let's finish what we were talking about first.
Yeah.
So we have the exorcist going on. Beetlejuice gets in the fold. He saves the Maitlands in like a snap, right? Like he comes in and he's just like boom.
It's kind of like this late night with Johnny Carson thing.
Yeah,
and he goes the Maitlands, knocks him out.
Yep, and then he kind of. Yeah, like you hit the nail on the head. It's like a late night show kind of. He's doing like little gags. He pops up. He's got like the carousel thing going on. Attention, Kmart shoppers, and
that's the iconic.
Takes Maxie Dean and her wife out through the roof.
Bubblehead wife.
Yeah,
in a very circus test your strength.
Yeah,
he's got the carousel hat.
Yeah,
and his
test your might.
Yeah, his step right up. Test your strength, and he's got the tie has light bulbs.
Yeah,
it's pretty sick.
And then your boy Botho gets the pastel white and like
I guess like
turquoise,
60s,
like sick. He hates it.
Come here, round boy.
Yeah,
I'm not through with you.
Yeah,
come here, round boy.
And then after that, it's basically everybody versus Beetlejuice, right? Like we're everybody's trying to prevent him from marrying Lydia Dietz. Shout out to the little preacher that comes out of the fireplace.
He's cute and scary at the same time.
And it's very cool. They got there's like
don't say the B word.
There's a couple. Another thing I like about this movie is the weird like
the graphics. And
intermingling of like the Ray Harryhausen claymation with like stop motion and like the practical effects. Very early
makeup,
blue/green screen stuff. It's all there. You know, miniatures. This was
tons of miniatures. Yeah.
You know, the movies in like the early '90s, late '80s, and sometime in the mid '90s used everything they could and didn't lean all the way into one or the other, like CGI or
all those future
effects.
scenes for our other beloved series T2, like anything with the HKs.
Yeah,
that's all.
And that's
miniatures.
what 3 years away from this. Yeah,
91.
Yeah, it's like 3 years away from this, and the way they look is not only similar but different, but
probably a miniature set no bigger than this table with all those tanks and vehicles.
They used everything to their disposal.
Yeah.
But
do you whistle take this man? Let me talk.
Let me speak for her. I am Lydia Dietz of Sound Mind.
And body. Yeah. Yes, I love that man.
That loving man of mine.
Oh, she meant nothing to me. She meant nothing.
Of course, he doesn't get married. You know, this ends on a very happy note. Yeah. Beetlejuice gets his due and proper by getting sent back to the underworld
via sandworm, which in the beginning part of the film,
sandworms.
He's like,
you been to Saturn?
Yeah,
me
sandworms.
too.
I hate them.
Yeah,
hate them.
And that comes full circle. Another great little writing technique. Yeah. And
so he dies twice, actually.
Yeah, well, is he really dead? I mean, he's just
no. You're right.
He's just foiled and sent back to the villain lair, if you will. But we end with the Dietzes, the Maitlands, all getting along,
right?
And that's another thing. Like, this movie is about death. And
it makes it very lighthearted.
And it makes it very lighthearted. Right. And this is like we were talking about. How is this a family movie?
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, because this is
mentions of suicide.
Yes.
Dead football players.
Dead football players. Yeah. The whole Prince Valium jokes of like drugged up parents,
slit throat, fucking smoke coming out.
But this is also a time when kids were. You and I grew up in the same era where we were kind of not forced to grow up quickly, but people were okay with adult themes being brought on children in the right manner.
Well, I think the veneer was lifted quite drastically, I think.
I mean, shout out to Fear Street, which is on Netflix right now. Shout out to Goosebumps, which was not only a major motion picture a couple years ago, but the books.
Stranger Things,
things like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark,
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt. These were all things that were
from the dark side,
in one way, shape, or form, put into the pop culture that we were as kids, and you either digested it, or you knew what it was because somebody around you was able to kind of see it and tell you about it and say, "Hey, you should see this. It's really awesome." I feel bad for kids these days who don't have movies like Beetlejuice on their able to watch. Like you have like Corpse Bride, and I've seen Paranorman, but a lot of these they're not very good. Like,
oh really?
Beetlejuice is a great story.
Yeah,
I'm not saying this based on nostalgia and kids should just watch things that no. Like those
it works as a story.
Like I saw that Adam Sandler Hotel Transylvania thing. I don't want to knock on some of these things because I'm a big weirdo and I'm all the Halloween stuff and all these creepy things just like Beetlejuice, but there's no heart or like
oomph.
Like this story has heart. It's about the Maitlands and the Dietzes it's about neighbors learning to come together, so to speak, but with like this whole oversheen of darkness and creepiness. But like things like Hotel Transylvania, I get that it's about like a coming of age story for a girl who's a vampire, but it just feels so flat. And
that's not like
I couldn't tell you
off of Transylvania 6500.
Maybe it is. I don't know. I've never seen that movie. I know that's Jeff Goldblum and
that's Jeff Goldblum, Ed Begley Jr. and Geena Davis, which they were a real couple in real life.
But like Paranorman, I fell asleep in it. I couldn't. I couldn't get down with it. I do like Coraline. That's a good movie. But that's isn't that Tim Burton? Too. I think it's Tim Burton, which makes perfect sense. Or he executive produced it or something. But I like Coraline.
Corpse Bride is Burton.
Corpse Bride is Tim Burton, and that was a little too romantic for me.
And what was the other one? Like In the Dark Shadows?
Dark Shadows, another Tim Burton joint. That was
it's T.B. John.
It's just hard to watch. There's just something about it. Didn't feel that it was like that good.
Yeah, The Wedding.
But what do you think, Beetlemeyer? What's your rating for Beetlejuice 1988, Tim Burton?
What's the scale?
Let's do a scale
1 to 5?
1 to 5. That's a good scale.
Or F through A plus.
It doesn't matter.
Academic.
It's all transferable.
All right. So if we go on academic scale, I'm gonna say that's not me. I think it. Oh, it is. Yeah.
It is you. Yeah. Exactly.
Get this.
You're full of shit.
Negative bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Gotta love this. Sorry about that. Gotta love this fucking North Carolina. I don't know anybody.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. You know what? Until we had just mentioned it, I would have given it a perfect 5 out of 5 or a perfect A plus. I will give it a A. The only negative thing I could say about it is just that the Harry Belafonte music. But We just watched it. Obviously, for those in the know, we watch these before we do these episodes, and we just watched it in dead of summer 2021. If by that metric, if Terminator 2 Judgment Day is 30 years ago, then 88. That movie's a 33-year-old fucking movie.
Yeah. And
I wasn't sleepy. I didn't miss a beat. Super relevant. Still gave me that same feeling.
Yeah, I give it an A.
Yeah.
It's a little bit biased considering we do a lot. So far we've been doing movies that we like.
Yeah.
But I think also you would agree with this. One of the things that we are doing is we're rewatching some of these movies to see how they hold up in relevance to modern day movies. Yeah. And this movie, to me, it still holds up, and especially in like a time when like cell phones and technology is so prevalent. This movie could still be made today exactly the same way it was as far as like story and characters, and it would not miss a beat.
Well, cynicism too. I think it's still a very sardonic, and cynical film.
Very much
fun
like
at everything.
Yeah, poking fun of everything.
Yeah.
Doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah, even at itself.
We just watched some James Gunn joints. Shout out to the Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Slither.
This kind of comedy fits right at home with that.
Just hardcore.
Kind of dark comedy.
Yeah.
A lot of gore, but it's done in jest, which is always fun. But I mean, this movie's great. I recommend this to everybody, and I know we kind of had
I'm going to show it to my kids at some point.
We had a long talk. Yeah, that's another thing I want to talk about before we end this thing. We had a long talk about, horror and what you and I have been calling, like, horror for children. Or horror
of it all.
Young adult, appropriate
fiction,
horror.
I guess let's call it, yeah.
Goosebumps and Fear Street are two things that we talked about that we grew up on. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Also, like Tales from the Crypt, like you said.
I totally
Tales from
grew
the
up on
Dark
that.
Side.
Tales from the Dark Side.
Creepshow 1 and 2.
Creepshow. Friday the 13th, the series that had nothing to do with Jason, but that was still
Freddy's Nightmares, which is also a thing that I saw before the Freddy movies. But like
Forever Night.
I just wanted to say that I feel like I feel bad for today's kids because I don't really see that. I don't really see or know. Other
maybe
than
the closest thing is Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
just that the Netflix
or YouTube stuff, I guess. But we had cool things growing up that were very horror centric and that were appropriate for children. And I feel like
shout out to The Witches.
Yes.
Remember that?
Okay, another one. Yeah. That movie was PG.
PG, but
and it has some
Angelica Houston.
very kind of graphical makeup and effects.
Blood in it. They chopped the fat kid that turns into a
chopped his tail off.
Chopped his tail off.
But it's still very appropriate.
She's like, you must be the one.
Did you see the remake of that one?
Bruno. Anne Hathaway's in it, right?
I didn't. My better half over here did, and I don't think she cared
Just
for it
says,
much.
Yeah,
I trust her opinion. I trust her opinion on that stuff, and I've heard a lot of things about that not being very good. But anyway, shout out to family friendly horror. We need more of that in our lives.
I'm trying to think of one more. Mac and Me. No,
Mac and Me. Oh shit. That one's terrible.
Oh. Makes you want to say.
Exactly.
Open this door, you dead people, or we'll bust it down and we'll drag you out by the ropes you hanged yourself with.
I'll bust you into the damn head.
But so anything else you want to add, Bri?
No, I think for all of you people out there in La La Land, in Horror Hound Land, give this movie a spin. If you do have children, like I do, at a certain time, let's say as early as 7 or 8 years old, when I saw it, I think that's a great time to introduce them to this, to stop the Disneyfication of the globe.
But watch Beetlemeyer. Take your friends, take your family, take your kids.
Have a glass of orange juice.
Yeah.
When he's in charades.
Exactly.
First word, 2 syllables. All right, people.
Yeah, thanks again for joining in. We'll be back next time for episode 103.
Wait.
Peace out from the Necropolis. We'll see you next episode.
Peace.
Later.